Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And good evening and welcome to another edition of Kearney Live. I'm Jim Dickerson along with Stacy Bratcher and Ken.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I saw Barbie.
Are we talking about the Barbie movie?
This ain't good.
Ken.
Oh, well, this is off to a good start. Lynn Broughton, good to see you.
Good to
And
see
now
you.
the music's back, apparently. Is we going to start all over again?
First he doesn't
Yeah.
get introduced at the chamber
Yeah, well,
meeting, and now you...
I was going to say, hello, Brian. Brian, there you are. I wanted to make sure I introduce you because there's some people at the table that know what it's like to not be introduced at an event.
What is that like? I don't
That
know.
was really sad.
Sorry, Lynn.
It was an exciting
I
afternoon.
mean, Ken, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We'll have a movie review later for those of you who haven't seen the Barbie movie. Have you seen Barbie?
No.
Did
Ditto.
you see it? No? Brian, how was it?
Oh, man.
No.
Oh, so now, according to the script, I'm supposed to come back to reality. Maybe I'm going to do these stories out of order because I can't go into that story. Hang on just a second. This screws up the prompter and everything else. But there is, what is there? There is, its resource fair is set for Kearney. There are all sorts of things going on. School, as we were talking about before the show started, is getting ready to start back up. There are any number of resource fairs, giveaways. I know Tracy Tucker has an event going on. Help our students in any way you can. A lot of the students we take for granted. They have new backpacks and school supplies and that, but there are those families that can't afford it. The Kearney School District is hosting the 2023 Back to School Resource Fair from 4 to 7 on Thursday, August 10th and from 9 to 11:30 a.m. Friday, August 11th at Hawthorne Elementary School at 1815 South Jefferson in Kearney. If you need more information on that, go to the KPGZ website, 1027kearneymo.com. But make sure that you take an opportunity to help out those kids that may need some extra supplies or anything as we look forward to going back to school. Also, the Clay County Sheriff's Department is investigating a hit-and-run accident that happened over this weekend. They are still looking for information. As far as we know, the suspect in this has not been caught. He or she left the scene and did not stop. Clay County Sheriff's Department is releasing information as we get more. It'll be on the 1027kearneymo.com website. But that happened between A Highway and Fishing River Road, and that was over the weekend. So if you have any information on that, please let the Sheriff's Department know and see if we can find out who did that. So you've that information also 1027carneymo.com. If you like getting packages, and I know a lot of people do, you may have a problem in your future, and Stacy is here to tell us about it.
Well, yeah, a local trucking company halts operations this week. We'll tell you more about it coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
There's something for everyone at the Kearney Enrichment Council. Spark Studios after-school programs at the old firehouse use STEAM-based activities to help kids learn, create, and find new hobbies and skills. The Enrichment Council supports our senior community with fun activities and necessary services at the Kearney Senior Center. All of Kearney comes out for our festivals, concerts, farmers markets, movies in the park, parades, and much more. The Kearney Enrichment Council, 106 South Jefferson Street in Kearney, 816-635-0566. Improve quality of life, find your place, build a better future in Kearney.
Welcome back to Kearney Live. Yellow Corporation, a 99-year-old trucking company that was once a dominant player in its field, halted operations on Sunday and will lay off all 30,000 of its workers. The unionized company has been in a battle with the Teamsters Union, which represents about 22,000 drivers and dock workers at the company. Just a week ago, the union canceled and threatened strike that had been prompted by the company failing to contribute to its pension and health insurance plans. The union granted the company an extra month to make the required payments. Check out this video.
99-year-old shipping company Yellow Corporation is now out of business and 30,000 people are out of a job. Almost 1,000 people here in the metro work for the company. The company halted operations Sunday after an intense battle with a union. The shutdown comes after a federal judge denied Yellow's attempt to block a unionized strike. The company had warned that a strike could cause it to plunge into bankruptcy. The Teamsters Union president says the closure is unfortunate but not surprising.
So, just wondering, gentlemen, we know about Yellow. We also have heard that UPS just avoided a strike this week. How do you think this is going to impact our local economy? And Lynn, is this something we're going to see happening with more companies?
I think we will. I think we will start to see this a little more. Now, I was interested when I did a little more research on this, that Yellow, they didn't charge as much, and they were saying that might have got them in the problems that they did, but I didn't know they did a lot of shipping to Home Depot and Walmart, so they're worried about that aspect because now they've got to make changes, but they said the other trucking industries, Old Dominion and others, might be I don't know how that works with contracts and that, but filing bankruptcy, I'm sure that eliminates all the contracts. But I think it's kind of an interesting, we talked about UPS, avoided striking, and I work for General Motors. General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler's contracts up here in September, and we may be there may be a walkout there. So it's pretty interesting that this has happened. And from what I gathered, they used to hub out of Kansas City and moved to Nashville, and it employs 1,000 workers from the Kansas City area that's going to be affected out of the 30,000. I hate to see this.
Yes.
I remember growing up seeing the yellow trucks all over the place. Yeah. But I think they've kind of outpositioned themselves from the other trucking companies from what I got. So some people were the analysts were kind of like, this ain't really a big move, but it just affects the people that work for them. But they were thinking that the other companies will be waiting in the wings to collect these employers. So I don't know. It's interesting, very interesting. So I don't know how that supply and demand. Because I know Walmart has their own trucking freight, but I don't know how they take stuff and send it to their warehouses, and then they ship it to their facilities. I don't know how all that works, but could we see more? I think we possibly could. I mean,
yeah, I don't.
It's all up in the air.
The interesting thing is you're starting to see this more and more, and I'm not going to say this is exactly what happened with Yellow Freight, but you're starting to see more and more of older companies that have been around forever. But the problem is they didn't evolve with what was going on. You get into this mindset that we're right, or we've been here forever, nothing will ever happen to us, and then it does.
Yes.
The thing with Yellow, I'm like you, Len. I remember Yellow trucks driving down the highway way back in the 40s, and I wondered if you catch that. But I remember we all remember the Yellow trucks from wherever, and the funny thing, a little digression here because that's what I get paid the big money for. The Yellow trucks were that real thin cab, right, with no sleeper, and you were like
orange.
Yeah, they were orange or
with the yellow.
Yeah, I guess they
were orange and it said yellow.
Well, it's yellow, but it looked orange.
Well, yeah,
it was probably
was it yellow? I thought it was orange.
It faded, I guess, or
goldenrod.
I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
There's a digression that I didn't do, but yeah, I think you have so many companies that. So back when Yellow Freight was really in its heyday, back in the what would that be, 70s and 80s, I guess, they were kind of like the only game in town. So you didn't have anywhere to go, so they grew. Now, like you said, Walmart has their own trucking. Of course, you've got UPS, FedEx, all these other companies.
And like I said about Old Dominion, when we moved here, Old Dominion now does the boxing where you can rent half a truck, or so that they've kind of upped their game. Right. So then they'll haul it, drop it off in your parking lot. You got so much to unload it, and then they come pick it back up. So that's they changed their game to meet other needs that a lot of people that were moving and didn't want to drive across. It was safe. You loaded it and then you unloaded it, but it was
interesting.
Yeah, it was they still offer that. I know they still offer that today.
But I think across the board, it's interesting to look at all the dynamics that have changed in every industry. So especially as it relates to shipping, because Amazon's a good example. Amazon obviously didn't exist back in the 70s. Now you look at the way freight is handled, and freight is totally different. So back in the Yellow days, granted, a lot of the freight they're shipping is not necessarily a door-to-door always, but if you ordered something today, 4 to 6 weeks, it's at your doorstep and you're all excited. Now, if you don't have it by 10 o'clock tonight, you're wondering what the delay is. So,
so true.
Yes.
Shipping has changed, but the point of all that is with Yellow, the question I think will come up, and you'll see the analysts start to talk about it. Did they fail to keep up with, were they on top of everything? Were they on top of technology? Were they on top of making sure they were getting all the good contracts and
and HR trends and
you said, the change Walmart can haul for themselves. You see more facilities doing that, like my plant. I'm here because I was in a stamping facility, just stamp parts in Mansfield, Ohio, and now our assembly plants are stamping on site, so you can eliminate certain things, and you just have to move people around. So it's probably the same process, and I don't know how many of these workers will be willing to go. I'm sure they'll offer signing bonuses and do all that to get them to come, because semi-drivers are a demand. They're in demand again. Because I did have a CDL, and I remember being asked, hey, will you go drive? And I'm like, no. But I did have a CDL at one time, and that was a high demand. I was always getting stuff in the mail, because they knew I could drive a semi. So
interesting.
So it's high demand too.
So, and does the other thing that struck me, and this is going to come out a little weird. Why are you
just a little?
I haven't even said it yet. 30,000 in the big scheme of things these days, to me, is not a gigantic company. It's sizable. But 30,000, if you distribute that out with, like you said, drivers are in huge demand. Trucking is still in huge demand. And because largely of the Amazon stuff and the way people want their products. And the people of today, if you don't get your product from point A to point B quickly, and I mean really quickly, you're not going to be in the game.
Right.
So
Right
now the drivers are in demand.
I think I've ordered 3 things, and I remember having to go to one of their hubs and pick something up because they wouldn't drive it. And I remember I ordered something else, and the semi backed down my driveway. And then when we ordered our pool, a semi backed down and dropped it off, because they usually don't drop it off at your home. You almost have to go pick it up if it's coming freight. But yeah, it's a crazy thing. And like you said, the 30,000 isn't a huge number compared to you're talking about General Motors, Ford, and well, it's not Chrysler. They have a different name now. But those 3, if they did walk and were out long term, the effects of what that does to all the smaller suppliers, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's going to affect this too, be the trucking, because we have a lot of parts coming in via truck. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens within this next, by the end of the year, because there's a lot of things. And I think the UPS drivers actually made out pretty well with their deal, so they were pretty happy with what they had. So they didn't have to walk, which that's a good thing.
So theirs was resolved.
Yes,
it's not...
it was resolved, and it was a good deal. And the Teamsters got a good deal too. So I don't know.
Well, and I think as in anything, it's all about demand. And right now, this may change. And actually, in the C block, I think we talk a little bit about it. There's some changes afoot coming up. But before we get to that, have you ever heard of a thing called time blindness? Neither had I.
No.
But apparently within the Gen Z, there is a thing called time blindness, and we're going to talk about it coming up next on Kearney Live.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
More reliable power means more of what you love. You expect your lights and appliances to turn on at the flip of a switch, and so does Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. That's why Platte Clay is working hard to make power more reliable in the Northland. We exist for one purpose: to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about their plan to reduce outages across the Northland, visit www.pcec.coop/reliability. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
And good evening and welcome back to Kearney Live. We're going to talk a little bit about time blindness, and I got to be honest, I'd never heard of it before now, so now I have to read. There's a couple of new trends popping up in the American workforce, particularly among the Gen Z employees, first known as time blindness, is the difficulty of, this is my favorite part, the difficulty of perception of time, how much time has passed, how much time it's going to take, and how much time it takes to do something. We used to, in my generation, call that marijuana usage, but apparently now it's a totally different thing. Let's take a look.
So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time, you know? And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else, and then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist, and if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job. I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled.
Dismantle it. What if a young producer said, I'd like to work for you, I'm just a little time blind?
Yeah, the show is live, and we go live at 10 a.m., and we need you here several hours earlier. That's not going to fly on Wall Street. The market opens at 9:30. You better be at your desk by 6.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was time blind for a minute. I didn't realize we were back.
That's not going to fly.
This has got to be the dumbest thing I've... Anyway, I'll finish. I can't believe that. Anyway, additionally, lazy girl jobs is a new workplace term going viral on social media to describe jobs of young professionals to achieve the elusive goal of work-life balance for the lazy girl job. Why does it have to be girls?
I don't know.
We'll get to that in a minute. A number of Generation Z TikTok users, there's part of your problem, are promoting this new approach to work, which bucks the trend of the United States' always on the hustle culture that can lead young people to feeling that they must be chained to their desk in order to succeed. Here's another great video.
The trend being pushed on TikTok with life coaches advising followers to look for roles that are non-technical, low stress, mostly or completely remote, and pay between 60 to 80K. I think part of the challenge of this is it's fun in the moment, but you got to get bored, and it definitely doesn't set you up for financial success.
Lily, what do you think about all of this?
I am concerned about the culture that we're feeding in our nation's young people who want to do very little. You know, it's estimated that like 30% of workers are going to be Gen Zs by the year 2030. So if they don't want to work, then who's going to take on those jobs? Now, when you look at today, I mean, it's so funny they're talking about yoga and doing what you like. Well, 1 in 4 Gen Zers lives in poverty today. So I think I'm understanding why this is happening.
So many questions, so little time. Imagine if you called the police and they were like, well, no one's here yet because we've lost track of time, or we don't. This is one of those things where you expect the wow. I watched. I'm still stuck on that first girl in the first video. You expect the world to rotate around you and everything you do. Stacy, as a chamber person, which is focused primarily on businesses, how are you supposed to succeed in the world anywhere? I mean, even if you went back to, forget it. I'll let you talk. I'll ask my question later.
Well, we have to remember, these are just trends. This is not the entire Gen Z population. These are just a few interesting people who have some different perceptions of things. But here's where we're at. Gen Z very much does have a different perspective and different approach to work. Where these may not be the best examples, I think we are going to have to figure out a way for everybody to work together. They're demanding a better work-life balance. I don't see anything wrong with that as long as it doesn't jeopardize our businesses. Now in Kearney, the majority of our businesses are mom and pop. individually owned businesses of 5 employees or less. So not showing up on time or not wanting to have to go in isn't going to work for those businesses. But what could work is maybe some flexibility in the schedules. Maybe instead of hiring one person for a 40-hour week, we hire 2 people for 20 hours. I don't know, but I think this is indicative of those of us who are used to a strong work ethic needing to find ways to help our Gen Zers to want to work, to find value in working, but then also we're going to have to offset their need for living life.
I think we've taken it. I think we've gone too far. I think you took. I say you. I think people have taken the concept of you want to find a job that you like, right? That's the thing. If you find a job you like, then what's the saying? If you find a job you like, then it's not you never go to work or something like that.
Right.
Because you like what you do. But the reality is, number one, you have to work to get into a position to get the job you like.
You do.
But number two, I don't care what your job is and how much you like it. There are going to be parts of the job that you're going to have to do that you don't want to do. And I'm not sure of a job that exists in the world. There may be one, but where you don't do anything where you're like, man, I hate this part.
But with every generation, we've had to flex and change. Boomers, they took the first job that came their way and they stayed there no matter what. And that's kind of what defines them. And many of them were extremely unhappy in their jobs, but that was the culture of the time. You didn't leave.
And the thing is, though, back then there weren't that many jobs. In other words, the variety of jobs wasn't there. You worked in a factory. You worked in a where you make meat, butcher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they're just today. There are jobs that exist that did not back in the 70s.
Absolutely.
And,
you know, TikTok, and I don't TikTok. I don't do TikTok, so I'm sorry. But I know from what I kind of researched on that, it's a lot about getting likes. And I think there was one thing that I read in an article that said 18 million likes this person was getting. So of course they're going to continue
to act that way.
To act on whatever is getting them likes, because that's the whole deal of TikTok, I think. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, younger generation, if I am. But it's getting likes and people keep watching and resharing and this and that. Do you think, too, the COVID thing, where people started working at home and are still continuing working at home, so now children are seeing their parents, what's it called? I just left my mind. Working from home.
Remote?
Yeah, working remotely, because my son and his wife work remotely because the company says, well, they don't need to come in. They can do their job at home. It saves them money, and I know there's companies here that have done that. Do you think that causes kids to look and say, okay, I'm looking at this TikTok stuff and I see my mom and dad working at home. I would like to have this, because the one lady had a resume, the one girl, and it was like, I want 40 to 50,000. I only want to work 5 hours a week or a day. I think it was 5 hours a day. And then she had a bunch of other stipulations.
I like that, 5 hours a week.
She wanted
That'd be great.
she wanted stipend money and all this. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty demanding to go to a company and say, please call me. I'm not going to call you.
Doesn't every young person, when they enter the workforce, they enter adulthood, they all have a false sense of expectation. I mean, I think we all have gone into once we get married or once we go out into the world on our own, we have our own place, that it should be equal to what our parents have. And then we find out that's not it, and we have to start over and work our way back up. And for some reason, I don't know why, obviously this generation expects that as well, but many of them are having trouble with the idea of, that's not reality. I'm going to have to work my butt off to get to where mom and dad are at.
Well, and it's just, it's exactly what you said, because I've always told my kids, they're 31, 29, and 27 now, I was like, enjoy high school. And they would be like, no, we just want to get out. And then they get out, and like 4 years later, they're like, oh, I wish I was back in high school. Because I go, yeah, you turn 21 and okay, this is life. Or 18, 19, whenever you finish college or whatever you do.
Right.
This is life now. You got to do this every day and find something you want to do so you can do like what you said. It's not a chore going to work. It's kind of a joy. You know, you enjoy what you're doing. And I think, and I'm so thankful my kids and their husbands and wives are hard workers. I'm so thankful that they work hard and everything they get is from hard work. So
see, and we've talked about this before, and I don't know. So you're right, Stacy. When I was a kid in high school, I could not get out of high school fast enough.
Yep.
And be the CEO of a company or whatever I wanted to do.
Yep.
And I don't know where the thing started. Why are you looking at me like that? Brian's back there in the booth looking at me all funny.
I was listening to you talk.
Well, that's a
That
first.
was strange.
What do you want?
That's why I was so distracted.
I will put up a new wall right here. And
But anyway, I don't know where the transition happened, but there comes a point where you realize maybe it's because you try. You know, I want to be the CEO. I want to be the head person. And then you realize, well, the first thing you realize, for those of you who haven't done it, that isn't all it's cracked up to be, too. There's times where you're like, man, I wouldn't mind being like, you just tell me what to do and I'll go do it. But you at any business at any level, unless you're one person, and I'm not going to say the name, you have to work your way up, right? You have to start at the bottom, learn the business, and work your way up. Now, you can move laterally. Once you've been a CEO or you're at a higher level, you can move laterally because people will recognize your value, recognize what you've done. But it almost comes down to it's like resume building. You've got to build up something where people are going to say, I want Lynn to come work for me.
Right.
Because he did this, this, and this.
Right.
But if you want to work 2 hours a day and make what was it, 50,000 a
40 to
week
50,000.
or something like that, I mean, I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. So, and to your point, small businesses suffer more because if you work for Walmart and an employee doesn't show up, that's okay. You've got 30 others to cover. If you own Stacy's Boutique, yeah, there you go. And then you have one employee and they don't show up, then you've got nothing.
Right.
So how do we change the trend?
Well, that's really interesting because I actually at the chamber had a young professional come in and talk to me about this. We've talked about this numerous times here on this show where our young professionals, they don't know how to communicate, or they don't know how to time manage. They don't know how to work through I'm losing my words, how to work through project management. And so I actually had a young professional come to me and ask if we could put together a young professionals group where we could do we could do some networking, but we could maybe also have some workshops on communication. Maybe we have some mentoring with some CEOs to help them understand expectations. Maybe we can work through some of these issues that they may or may not know is a problem for the current workforce.
Right.
And so I was very hopeful that someone came to, in their early 20s, came to me and asked me to help do this. So I think we have a lot of great Gen Zers out there. I think we just have a few outliers that are not in touch with reality, and hard times will befall them, and hopefully they'll work their way through it and come out better for it.
And I was going to ask you, Lynn, because you work with the school district, are there programs where we're trying to get kids to
well, and that is the new real world learning aspect that we're really going to see a push. We're going to promote that kindergarten all the way through, so they're getting those real world experiences, and then they could go out into the workforce, say there's something they want to do, and they can shadow that person, and like a pilot, just say they could come, if your company would allow, they would come shadow you. Then that person may say, I don't know if I want to do that. So then they could change course and find something else. And then also they can take things that will help them get college credit. So when they go on to college, with knowing what they want to do. I know they had someone shadow a chiropractor, and there was many different things. And right now it's like senior through sophomore. But I know within the next couple years we're going to kind of, not that the youngers, like the kindergarten but we want to have that kind of mindset so we can teach the younger generation about working in this real world. And if you go off to college, to make sure you're finding what you want to do, and so you can apply that better for us older folks that eventually are going to be needing these younger folks to work, and that they're going to do a good job at whatever they're doing. So it's there, it's coming, it's going to come hard. I think within the next, like our strategic plan, within the next 25, 27, we're hoping by 25 we have that all the way through kindergarten, where they're creating and they're solving problems, and we're putting them in situations where they're going to work together, and then they're going to think for themselves. And
what's disappointing in my opinion about the whole thing is that kids, I think, are smart. I don't want to say smarter. I think they have more. They've been offered more intelligence-wise. They're more advanced. Maybe is what the word I'm looking for. They're more advanced than we were.
Well, they
kids.
have more information at their fingertips.
Two things. Number one, they have more information, and two, the technology,
cell phones, man,
and all that, all the stuff that goes with technology. They are so far beyond where we were.
Yes.
Correct.
Because it didn't exist. But if you take your cell phone, and you'll hear people say there is more technology in this cell phone than they had in NASA when they put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
So, and you learn your cell phone out of necessity. If it were a class, nobody, if it were a class where you had to do it, nobody'd do it. But so kids are technologically advanced just out of necessity because through, this hurts me to say TikTok, but they know how to make videos. They know how to, simple things that in the 50s and 60s nobody knew how to do. And if you don't believe me, go on to Instagram. Lynn, have you ever been on Instagram?
Well, no, some of the videos I sent you, and some of the videos I sent you, and you go, no, that can't happen, or something.
There are videos where they actually, it looks so realistic.
Oh, it's crazy.
But the fact is, somebody had to make that, so they have the knowledge of how to do that. When you watch people do these videos of themselves doing different things, the framing is really good.
Right.
That's technology. They know how to do things that kids in the past never knew how to do. There are so many videos out there. There's a woman that, whatever, but she's got all these videos of her kid. The phrase is always, how is this kid still alive?
I got
because the kid does something and it destroys all his stuff. If you don't know, it looks so realistic. But then you ask yourself, well, why would they have a camera there? And why would it be on? And then you start to realize, well, this is the same woman in all these different videos. But they do such a great job. And the kids' acting is really, really good. The mom's acting is really, really good. The framing is good. But again, that's technology.
Right.
You used to have to go to Hollywood and have a first-class producer put all that together.
Beta camera didn't work well.
Beta camera.
Beta tapes.
How old is Lynn? Put it in the comments.
Yes, the beta camera.
Coming up next, Lynn's going to talk about laser discs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh, man.
So let me ask you this, Leonard: if you were a Gen Zer, am I right? Gen Z. And the world was starting to pass you by, should you be concerned if maybe you went to a restaurant and you saw something serving you that wasn't a person?
Are you ready for the future? Are you ready for the future? It might already be here. We'll talk about that next and what it means when we come back.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose, to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Are robot waiters the future? It's a question that restaurant industries is increasingly trying to answer. Many think robot waiters are the solution to the industry's labor shortage. And we just talked about the Gen Z stuff, right? Sales of them have been growing rapidly in recent years, with tens of thousands now gliding through dining rooms worldwide. Watch this video.
At Anna Maria Oyster Bar, business is thriving. But with a worker shortage, food needs help arriving. And that's where Pearl comes in.
The best part of an oyster is a pearl, right? So now we have Pearl.
Pearl is a robot that delivers food from the kitchen to the tables.
Pearl works 7 days a week. She never needs a day off. She works doubles. And she works for about $2.50 an hour.
When Pearl arrives, the waiter removes the food from the robot and places it on the table. Then she heads back to the kitchen to get more.
We absolutely are striving to help solve the labor crisis. And if we can do it with robotics, we're not replacing people, we're just helping them do their job easier.
She's especially helpful to the bartenders so they don't have to leave the bar. And the people seem to love her.
Pearl, she's so cute. I think she needs more like some bling or something. You know, maybe even blinking lights.
Pearl is programmed to know the placement of all the tables in the restaurant, but she's still in beta testing and has a few kinks to work out, like being stable enough to carry drinks. But for now, she's earning her keep.
All right, folks. We just talked about the Gen Z, right? Is this good for restaurants? And would it work for like a Stables or a De Creamery? Think of the restaurants, La Fuente's, the different things that we have here in Kearney. Or do people need to just step up before their jobs are completely eliminated? But I mean, Brian made a great point when we were watching the video. I mean, I'm going to pick on Brian, but it's a great point though that the robot was bringing the food out, but the waiter or waitress had to be there to hand it to the people. And I'm sure that's coming.
That's not, so there's another video out there where there are the robot pulls up to the table and you take it off yourself.
Okay.
So
that no one's hands are touching it?
Yeah.
I got
so and some of the people in that video, which you guys didn't see here, that was one of the things they said. I prefer it because no one's touching my food. Now, the funny part is I was like, well, who do you think cooked
made it? Yeah.
But that aside, I think, so the thing I take from this is, and I'd like to hear Stacy's opinion because of the chamber, but the thing that I take from this is gradually, bit by bit, your jobs are going away. And I think we have no one to blame but ourselves. If you don't step up, so when you go to, I'm going to try not to name a store, but everybody will know who I'm talking about. When you go to a certain type of store, all kinds of stores, they have self-checkout, right?
Right.
So those are less people that we have to hire, we have to pay for. Why do we do that? Because self-checkout, you can run 9 self-checkouts with 2 people instead of 9 people. And if you go back, remember the days, well, some of us will remember the days, when you went to the grocery store, the person, they rang you up, they bagged your groceries, and they took it to the car. And so step by step, we've gradually eliminated. There isn't a place that I'm aware of anywhere where they take your groceries to the car.
Price Choppers will do it.
Well, if you ask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
just...
they do bag it.
But back then, it was just understood.
Right.
When you went to the gas station, how many guys came out, checked the air in your tires, did your windshield, all that?
Pump the gas.
How many full-service gas stations have you seen lately? Jobs are being eliminated. Why? Because slowly the employees they didn't care. They were messing things up. They were making mistakes. They were sloppy. And you know, the job went away. And I know there's a big argument for, well, I'll never use a self checkout thing, but I think we're hurting ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves.
Right.
And the same thing with servers. How many people have had a server that clearly cared nothing about anything and was just, they didn't care? It becomes more and more prominent, and that's where...
Can I ask a question? I know you said you owned a restaurant at one time. Correct?
I had a few.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, and you think of what he was saying about it works 7 days a week. It doesn't need a break. You don't have to worry about scheduling. A lot of headaches are gone, right?
Right.
It's very understandable.
Right. The biggest problem we had, and so one of the bigger, I'm sure one of the bigger restaurateurs in this area would agree, the biggest problem you have is personnel. It's employees. I mean, let's face it, a restaurant is not a career position. People don't go to high school and say, well, I'm going to be a server at such and such. But it is a great place to, number one, learn basic skills, being on time, how to treat people, and then you can actually, there are, I'm not saying this is going to happen, so don't everybody run out and try to do it, but there are so many people who got really nice employment opportunities because they were working at a restaurant and got to know somebody, and the person said, you know what, give me a call, and then now they have a really good job.
Yep.
So things can happen, but that's not going to happen if you're replaced with a robot.
Well, but in Missouri, the number one industry in Missouri is tourism. And so being a server at a restaurant is an in to that industry, to the hospitality industry. So where I agree with you that it's an entry level but opportunity, I do think it can grow to other things if you want it to. But this whole robot thing, honestly, you guys are going to be surprised by this. That's not new, having a robot deliver your food. Have you ever been to Fritz's? It wasn't a robot, but it was a train.
True.
The train delivered your food, and you loved it. Maybe not the food, but you loved the train.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been around for how many years?
Right.
And people keep going back because they love the train. So I don't think that's any different. And the argument that it's taking away jobs, yes it is. But we've seen this time and time again in other industries. They bring in a robot or some sort of automation. It takes away these jobs, but it creates all of these other new jobs over here. And so we just have to adjust.
Well, and I always told people, if you really, for the younger generation, computer technology and like repairing these things, because I look at General Motors and what you just said, they brought in a bunch of robots to do certain jobs, eliminated certain jobs, so you had to move people around, because then you didn't have to worry about the manpower aspect because you were moving people around. Well, you can't get people to come into work. That's the problem we have now. If they could get robots to do them jobs and build a car, they would. And that, I think that's one of the big pushes, this is my opinion, for the electric, because my plant will go down to half its workforce, because you eliminate the motor line, you eliminate certain things, and so you can manage half a workforce better than you can manage whatever, the full, you know. So, and more robots are doing more works with the electric cars.
Well, and I think that, so what you're saying is a trend. We'll see how it comes about, but this is a long time ago, I worked in a warehouse, and we were a fulfillment center, and you would have a conveyor and the boxes, and you had people all along the line. You had the guy who drove the forklift, who loaded the pallets, who put the pallets in. You had the people that take it from the pallet to this, and then it made its way down to the box. Then over time, what we started to do is we had robots on the front line. You would load up this stuff and then push buttons and it would fill the box. Well, then it kept working its way back. Then the robot actually filled the supply chain. Then robot. Now the whole thing, if you look at an Amazon warehouse, is completely automated.
But yet Amazon's always hiring.
Correct. But it's one of those things, you got to be careful, stay on your game. I mean, I can see both sides of it, and we'll talk more about it. Our final thoughts are coming up next.
Explore a place to visit. Explore knowledge. Explore fun. Explore relaxation. Explore adventure. Explore a hometown. Explore Kearney, Missouri.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. We've got to hurry up on our final thoughts because we've all got to get down to Fritz's for some food. But Stacey, you're up first.
But before you go there, National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day is coming up on Friday, August 4th. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah, chocolate chip cookies. So the Clay County Sheriff's Office will be at the Kearney Price Chopper celebrating Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. You are invited to come have conversation and cookies with the sheriff and his deputies from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. again on August 4th at the Kearney Price Chopper at 701 Watson Drive.
All right, so as a former law enforcement person, can you go back to that picture? Because there's a lot. Is there a hidden joke in that? Or is that
What
just,
is that, a
why
pig?
is he holding a pig?
That was from last night's
fair.
Oh, National Night
National
Out.
Night Out. That's
Yeah.
what it was, yeah.
He was on a dunk booth too, I saw that.
Wait a minute, he was on a dunk booth and I didn't go out there?
Yeah, he was.
Is my husband in that picture?
Brian,
somewhere?
why was I not informed?
Was he there? Was he there?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, Will said that if, Sheriff Aiken said that if we go out and meet him on Friday, he'll have cookie. What was it? Oh, you were there.
Yeah, Len and Jim, he'll have a cookie with Jim and I, and we will all three take a picture together. And whoever comes, if Brian wants to come, if Stacey wants to come, whoever's there, he said he will take a picture with us.
I'll do anything for a chocolate chip. I'm not going to lie about it. Len, you're up next.
Last time you're going to hear this from me. Make sure you come out and vote on Tuesday. Prop S is on the ballot. Love to have you guys come out and vote. If you need any information, I thank Stacy and the Chamber for allowing Dr. Miller and I to come out and just present a little bit to the Chamber there at the luncheon today. I really appreciate that. And Brian, the President, I appreciate that from you guys.
Thought he was the secretary.
He does it all.
He does it all.
But anyways, if you have any questions, like I've always said, I give up my number, 419-366-9646. Please call. I'm willing to discuss. Please go to the websites. Make sure you get all the information, and make sure whatever decision you make, it's your decision. But make sure you vote. I always state it's a right that we have living in this country. Make sure you show up and vote on Tuesday.
I can't believe it's time to vote already.
It's crazy.
I know.
Wow.
And it's a weird time. So on my final thought, I was going to do the cookie thing, and Stacy stole it. So I'm going to piggyback off of Lynn, and I'll just use my final thought time for this. There are some things that come up in voting that to me seem like a no-brainer, and the thing that Lynn is talking about to me is one of them. There's nothing more important than our kids, their education, and their safety. And this proposition that you're looking at on August 8th covers that. So August is a weird time for election voting. It's an off time, it's a down time. I'm asking Kearney residents, please go out and vote. This is a very important levy. Like Lynn has said in the past, there hasn't been one like this since 2011. That is a long time ago. We really need to make sure that we keep, a lot of people that we talk to say that they came to Kearney, Missouri for the schools.
That's right.
The schools are top rate, first class, and we need to keep them that way. This ballot measure on August 8th makes sure that we do that, and then it also enhances and makes sure that the safety of our children becomes or remains paramount. They've talked a lot about, and the information's on the websites that Lynn talked about, school resource officers are crucial to the safety of our kids, not security people, school resource officers. There's a big difference. So make sure on August 8th, you go out and vote.
Can you buy your cell phone number?
Lynn's cell phone number.
You probably memorize it.
He's, by the way, he gave out at the chamber meeting today again. I did not. Just so you know. But anyway, hey, thanks for joining us on Kearney Live. It's a pleasure having you with us. We look forward to seeing you on the rerun. That's Saturday at 11. And then we will see you next week, Wednesday at 5. Good to see you. We'll see you next time on Kearney Live.